Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode here on the Okay, I Got It podcast. I'm your host, Destiny Lanaya, and I've been going through it when it comes to technology. Girl, I don't really know. I really don't. Let's just hope that this is coming out the way it's supposed to. I've been having audio issues. Ooh, where these microphones here, they would die on me in the middle of the episode. And girl, it's been rough. So let's just hope that it goes all the way through. And if not, then I'm gonna just keep trying, keep trying, keep trying because I have no fucking choice. I'm too tenacious, too stubborn, and I meant it when I said I have a lot to say. With that being said, in this episode, I'm going to be covering two segments. The second one is near and dear to my heart. Honestly, both of these segments are, but the second one is just like that's where I thrive the most. That is when I talk the most, and that is when you will notice an octave change because I am that deep and passionate about it. Gonna be talking about books. Hello. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited for that so much. I'm just like beside myself. Anyway, let's just get straight into it. So for this segment, I just want to say this, and this is something that I'm actively learning and I'm realizing within a lot of people and even moments within myself. And that is me saying this: I will not applaud you for implementing human decency. I will not applaud myself for having a hero complex. And you shouldn't either. Before I continue on with this segment, because it's a very doozy one, and I feel like in order for you to be able to conceptualize what I'm saying, let alone respect what I'm saying, you're going to have to remove your own biases or allow yourself to be challenged. I have realized that I come with such a challenging spirit and a challenging aura around me. And I'm not saying that in the sense that I'm actually going out here deliberately trying to argue with people or deliberately trying to challenge people's beliefs or challenge people's identities. Girl, I don't have energy for that. Do you know how much energy that requires? Do you know how much focus and attentiveness and study that requires to do? Not everybody deserves that a type Not everyone deserves that type of attentiveness, let alone from me. So I'm not going out here just being difficult. But when people come into my life, a lot of the times they come into my life with this impression or this perception, if you will, that I'm so kind and I'm so sweet and I'm so quiet that I'm not going to say anything, or that I'm just going to let whatever the fuck happen, or I'm just going to follow the goose wherever the goose goes. No, that's not how I work at all. If anything, it's the opposite. Like, I don't work that way. I am the type of person that advocates for nuances. I literally bring up things that I feel like people ignore or things that people are uncomfortable to say. Like the thing that you don't say out loud, I'm the one that says it out loud. And if I don't say it, my actions let you know that I know of it and I'm going to say it, whether that's verbally or through my actions. And that's what I mean when I say a challenging spirit, because people come into my life, like I said, with that perception that it's so easy, that everything is so obvious, and it's not. My name's not Destiny for no reason. I feel like my mom and my dad, that's one of the things that they agreed upon because they don't agree upon a lot of things. But my name was one of them, and there was a reason why they gave it to me. At least I think so. If that's a bit too dense or a bit too much for you, then maybe this is not the right content you should be consuming. With that being said, just wanted to get that out there. Let's see. Okay, so let me just give like an example. I'm also looking at my notes because I will get very passionate about something and forget what the fuck I said. And that's why I have notes to kind of keep me on track and not going on tangents. But if you know, you know, I am the eldest daughter. So the perfectionism, the over responsibility, the hyper independence, the ever high, sometimes non reaching standards and expectations fall on me. It's not new to me. very familiar with it. If anything, I've been in relationships with it so many times that I pretty much have it ingrained in my brain. It's coming off as second nature for me now. But ever since I turned 23, not that long ago, but I'm 24 now, but not that long ago, when I turned 23 is when I was like, you know what? Yeah, everything that I thought I knew, or everything, excuse me, that was expected of me or had been ingrained in my brain, it's time to uproot it. Because no longer does it apply to me, and no longer does it make sense that it's even true, that it's even valid. If anything, those that veil that had been placed over me of being the eldest daughter does not apply to me, and that had no business being placed over me in the first place. Unfortunately, I have to be the one to uproot all of it. Not that I can just go to said people or said society or said experience and atmosphere and be like, hey, you take this off of me right now. Take it off. They're not going to. There's a reason they're not going to. There's a benefit there. It's my responsibility to take it off. I spent so much of my life people pleasing and taking care of other people and trying to save people. Oh my word. There have been times where I find myself sitting now, looking back at those times, just being like, Destiny, all of those people that you're trying to save, there is one person you did not save. There is one person you are actively neglecting, and that's you. You're neglecting yourself to save everyone else. You're neglecting yourself to appear as if you are a good person, but for what and to whom? What is your reward? Better yet, is that reward worth it? No. I can't tell you how many times I have been expected of something, and whenever I would accomplish it or I would do it, and it took a lot of fucking hits, a couple of bruises, I did it and I went at it, and no one said congratulations. No one gave me a pat on the back that was genuine. I got, oh, you did great, but that's what you were supposed to do, right? And then there are people that would do the same thing I did that don't normally take accountability or they don't normally take responsibility, and they get celebrated. And I was very confused by that. And also, these same exact people would look at me and be like, hey, even though I've accomplished this like you have to still help me. You still have to consider me. You still have to be there for me. And I'm just like, but what about me? Where do I fit in all of that? This sounds and comes off as if I'm just this rebellious teenager that thinks the world owes her everything or that I'm falling into victimhood. Quite the contrary, actually. I find myself every single day accepting the fact that no one is ever going to give me the apology, no one is ever going to take accountability for the things that they had done to me. And I'm just going to have to accept that. My responsibility is to not make, my responsibility isn't to make them take responsibility. It's not for me to force them to look at what they did and be like, hey, I'm sorry, let me do better. That's not my responsibility at all. If anything, it's not my place. My place, I feel like, and this comes off as it's pessimistic or even passive aggressive because it seems empty. My place is to only uproot what they tried to root in me or what they did root in me. My place is to make sure that their behavior and patterns does not affect me in the space of detriment behavior. That's my responsibility. With that comes the burden, the curse, if you will, of never getting that apology, of never getting that congratulations, you did great, of never getting that praise, if you will. I feel like a lot of us eldest daughters or just eldest siblings in general seek that praise because we don't get it, because we're expected to just go without it. We're expected to do what we're supposed to do while everyone else is celebrated for doing the bare minimum. If you are the one that is not getting the praise that you deserve, or the praise that's nice to hear every once in a while, I challenge you to do this practice. I've been doing this a little bit, and it's helped, I will say. It's kind of not only give me that praise and recognition that I want and oftentimes need, but it's also giving me that sense of, hey, you can take your time, you can slow down. We'll get into the perception of time in a little bit, but I challenge you to do this practice. If you have the time and ability, if not, please in some way force yourself to. Maybe not, but I hope you have the time in some way to do this. Look in the mirror or open up a phone, or if it's what you are in a dire situation, go in front of something that has a reflection so you are able to look at yourself. And I want you to give yourself credit. Here's an example. Look at yourself and say, hey, I'm proud of you for leaving the house today. I'm proud of you for eating breakfast. I'm proud of you for brushing your teeth. I'm proud of you for trying, even though you don't feel like it. Even though you would rather rot on the couch or cry in bed. I'm proud of you for trying. I'm proud of you for smiling. Better yet, I'm proud of you for being able to have the courage to show emotion. Even if that emotion comes off as bad, there's no bad emotion. All emotions give signals and they give some sort of tap for something you need to pay attention to. But overall, the challenge is to give yourself credit and do it by standing in front of your reflection. We spend so much time giving and trying to do for other people that we forget we are people too. We're not just this looming spirit or this conscious soul. We are people. And it's important for us to recognize that. Otherwise, all of that saving, all of those good deeds, you're doing it in vain because you're neglecting the very source that is even the reason why you're implementing any of that love or good deeds or being a good person. You're neglecting you. You are a person. You are a person before you are anything else. So a practice, another one. Sorry, I'm giving you a bunch of homework, but another one. When you are saying, I'm hurting, if it helps, speak to yourself, speak out as if you're speaking in third person. That way you can recognize, or your brain is able to identify, oh, you're talking about a person? Who? Who's the person? You. Instead of saying, I'm hurting, give an example. Destiny's hurting. It's going to sound weird. It's going to look odd. People are going to look at you and be like, what the fuck are you doing? This is not normal. Hey, ignore that. Put your noise canceling headphones on. Ignore that. They don't get it. And guess what? If they don't get it, a lot of times it's because they are privileged enough to not get it. And hey, that's a great thing. You don't have to worry about literally looking at yourself or forcing yourself and your brain to recognize that you're a person. If you don't have to worry about, great, lovely. I'm glad you don't have that trauma. But the ones that do, practice that. Because I promise you, you're not going to be able to give and do as much as you think you are if you're not doing that for yourself. Now, what does that self-care look like? It could look like a number of things. It could literally look like the practices that I just gave. Or it could literally look like going out and buying something materialistic or going out and taking yourself somewhere worldly. Like, it could be a number of things. But I feel like the main thing is to recognize that you are a person. You are you before you are a daughter, before you are a mother, before you are a husband, before you are a brother. Before you are a girlfriend, before you are a boyfriend, you are a person before all of that. Practice selfishness. I used to be so conflicted with that word because I thought it was a bad thing. I thought it was something that is deemed evil. I mean, literally, the definition is the lacking of consideration for others. I always thought that was terrible, but it's not. There are some instances and some systems of balance where selfishness is needed. And then that's when you start going into the conversation of boundaries. And sometimes boundaries conversation leads to the expectation and the identifications of standards, but that's a different video for a different day because there's so much to unpack with that. And I can't just, I guess I vaguely said it or vaguely mentioned it and then just be like, oh, that's it. There's nothing else to it. There's a lot to it. Again, a lot of people are not really too ready or nor in the position to open up themselves to talk about that. But that's okay because I'll talk about it later. But I guess overall in this segment, which is a little bit short because I don't want to repeat myself or speak in circles because I definitely will, is to practice identifying yourself as a person because you are. And you are full of greatness and full of beauty. Hell, you being a good person and people expecting that of you is giving that example. But you will burn out. You will get tired. And worst of all, you will resent. And if you don't want to get to that spot, if you don't want to get to that space, if you want to continue on being loving or continue on embodying not only love and nurture for other people, but peace, you have to identify yourself as a person. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it now. Everything that comes from these episodes and from this platform is merely subjective. You can take what you want to take. You don't even have to do any of the practices that I challenged. And that's fine. I'm not going to think less of you. I'm not going to call you an evil person. I'm not going to shit on you for any reason. Unless, of course, you're a racist and a bigot and a misogynistic asshole, then maybe. But that's a different conversation for a different day. We'll get to that later, I promise. Because I have a bunch to say on that. But everything that comes out of my mouth is coming from my own perception and experience and things that I have been exposed to, that I've come across, that I've learned, things that I feel value and valid in. And again, you don't have to take that. Honestly, I feel comfortable. I feel more comfortable and I feel more accomplished when I know that something I had said has provoked you in some way. And maybe and hopefully it provoked you in thinking more and more of a place of consideration, not just consideration of me, but consideration of yourself. I wouldn't share something that I feel like is going to be detrimental to a collective, nor is it going to be detrimental to myself. I may share something out of vulnerability. I may. I may share something out of frustration and anger. I possibly will. But I'm not going to advocate for hate or advocate for trying to diminish. If anything, I will most likely advocate to abolish shallow thinking and black and white considerations and this whole thing of like, oh, everything's defined and this is what the definition is, because everything is not as defined as we think it is. And I have realized that the older I get. I haven't made this list of things that I've learned thus far. I would do this about a week or a month before my birthday. Just kind of reflecting on the things that I've learned. And a lot of the things that I've learned are literally uprooted ideologies and thought pieces and standards from what was told of me and expected of me when I was younger, when I was a teenager. And I realized this is bullshit. And one day soon, I will cover that. My birthday has already passed. It was in April, so it wouldn't make sense for me to do it anytime soon, but best believe you're going to be expecting that type of video in April for sure. But enough of all of that. Hopefully, you got something inspirational or maybe something even thought provoking with that segment. Now we can get on to my favorite part, books. I started reading when I was very, very young. I remember my mom would gather my sister and I and place us in the bed with her. And my sister, she was like a baby, very young. She might have remembered, I'm not really sure. But I remember my mom would place us in the bed of her. My sister would be in the middle because homegirl was into everything. Into everything. Like, ooh, she was into everything. So my sister was in the middle, I was on one side, and my mom was on the other. Around this time, my mom had been extremely devoted to the Bible, like very devoted. I grew up in a very Christian household. Am I a Christian? I am no longer. But that is also a video I want to cover in a different episode. But my mom just deeply devoted to the Bible. She would read the Bible every morning, every night, anytime she had an opportunity of just space, she was reading it. And there were some times where I would catch her and sneak up on her, but other times I just watched how she read. When she had me and my sister in the bed with her, she would read out loud because she wanted us to hear as well. And although we were very little and young, we weren't able to conceptualize what she was saying, she still wanted us to hear, you know? And I remember watching her read and just seeing the type of person she was becoming. And I was like, I want that. Whatever you got going on right now, I want that, please. And so I'm just like, that's what reading does to you. I don't remember what the first text that I read, but I do remember reading classics. My mom, she would go about her way to get me little books. Not even little books. My mom was grabbing anything and everything. She just knew that her child liked to read and she was just grabbing stuff. And then on top of that, the people that she worked with at her job, because she works at the hospital, um, she was very liked and loved lady. My mom is a very sweet woman. She wants to be. But everyone at her job, her coworkers, would literally give her boxes of books because they also had known that I love reading because my mom was telling everyone. So that's where it sparked. It was very, I can't even give you an age, but I do know I was like very, very young. And it just kept growing and growing, and it's still growing now, and I'm 24. And it's not going to stop because reading books and picking up pieces of literature are one of the most important hobbies and one of the most enjoyable things that I absolutely adore and love. And I'm so fascinated with the information of books. So now that you know a little bit about that, I want to talk about books more. With this portion of the segment, I want to start talking about books that I have read, that I'm wanting to read, or that I'm currently reading. I'm going to do it like separately. I'm not going to do all of that in one take. Otherwise, this episode would be extremely long. It's already getting long. So, yeah, for this portion of the segment, I'm going to be talking about books that I'm currently reading. Fortunate for you, fun time for me, I'm reading 4 books at the same time. Okay, not at the same time, but I'm reading 4 books. I'm reading 4 books, and I want to share them with you. So the first book that I'm reading is Persuasion by Jane Austen. About 2 years ago, I read Pride and Prejudice, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was so good. Like the personality of Jane Austen, you can literally tell that she was a very ambitious and probably hyper independent, fiery woman. And I'm here for it. I love books with that type of attitude because that's definitely what I have. And when you're around a lot of people or environments that try to silence that or they try to belittle it, it just comes off as there's no place for us, but there is. And Jane Austen is one of those authors that has a place for us. There's a couple of other authors that also have that place for us that I will mention in other episodes. But for the sake of persuasion, Jane Austen got that. Okay, she got that. She got that. From my understanding of this book, I'm not done with it yet. I'm about 60 something percent through. I have a couple of 100 pages to read, but it's about Anne Elliot and Frederick Wentworth. It's a second chance romance from my understanding. Again, I'm not finished, so I could be wrong. But it's about like how there was a sense of, not necessarily, I guess portrayal, but it was a sense of like persuasion, if you will, that has caused a drift in their relationship and that has caused a separation and an end to their relationship. And it's basically a journey of how they are reconnecting and also just potential other suitors. To be real with you, I don't want her with Frederick. I don't want her with Frederick at all. What's her name? Hold on, let me find it because I want to make sure that I'm saying it correctly. Give me a second. Girl, I'm about to start pulling my hair out if I don't find this. Lady Russell. Whew, found her. I'm gonna have to agree with Lady Russell. Her and Frederick, hell no. No, no, no. The man she met at the cabin, why I don't remember his name, girl, don't ask me. But I want him and her because her Anne and that man she met at the cabin or the cottage, whatever that area is, I don't remember. Um, I want them to. The way that they were just kind of like back and forth with each other, the conversations that we're having, like the agreements, the disagreements, the attentiveness, even the little tender moments that were like coming off very appropriate and proper. I want that. I want that. Her and Frederick needs to get the fuck on somewhere. He's pissing me off. So that's my opinions so far of persuasion. Don't worry, I will make sure to update you guys on if I have finished any of these or if I had DNF them. DNF is another way of saying did not finish, which means we did not like that. The second book, ooh, okay. The second book that I'm reading is The Sacrifice by Ren Chupeco. This is classified as a horror. So, a little backstory. Last year, I read The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates, and it made me fall in love with horror. I'm a chicken. Okay. I can literally, like, it took me 2 days to watch The Nun because I was scared. Not because I was busy or I had something go. Bitch, I was scared. Okay. It took me 2 days to watch that film. And as far as The Conjuring, I could not watch any of them unless I had my sister with me. If it's not my sister, then it's my stepbrother when they were younger, because that's when we were watching them. Girl, no, I'm a chicken. However, lately, even whenever I was watching the Nun and it took me 2 days, lately I have found a fascination for horror, for both the films and the books. They like I am finding myself fascinated and enjoying the psychological play as well as like sprinkling in like spiritual elements and spiritual like situations. Your girl is falling for it and I'm eating it up. I'm scared out of my mind, but I'm eating it up. And then the books that I have been reading thus far that are categorized as horror, I realized that the description and the wordplay of setting is extremely important. This literally makes or breaks the book, I feel like. And if you're not able to execute that, it's not horror, at least to me. This book so far is not giving me horror. And maybe it's because I'm looking at it from like a political view because there is a political theme that is literally the gist of this whole book outside of the fact that there's supposed to be like supernatural, not supernatural, I guess you say supernatural, but spiritual elements. There's elements of romance a little bit. I don't understand the romance. I really hope it doesn't develop into romance. It's going to piss me off if it does. I'm not going to lie to you. And that says a lot because I'm a romantic fanatic. However, there better not be romance in here or else I'm going to pull my hair out because why the fuck? Don't piss me off. Anyway, I think it's because I'm looking at it from a political sense than looking at it as a horror because it's not scaring me. Like the supernatural and the spiritual thing experiences that happen, I'm more so looking at it like that's a little weird. Why is that happening? Odd. Or that's fascinating. That's so cool. Let's see it happen again. Then I am like, I'm getting cold chills and having to look over my shoulder. Girl, I'm not scared. I want to be scared. What is happening? Essentially, the sacrifice is about this person. No, it's about this island, this sacred island that everyone is literally forbidden to walk on and intrigue, not intrigue, but provoke unless you are a sacred person yourself. There's a lot of mysteries to this island, this area. There's a lot of unsolved cases and unsolved stories within this area. And from my understanding, there's only one person, one sacred person left that is able to like walk on this land without being messed with, without being manipulated in some kind. And that is the character Alon. I don't necessarily know the distinctive pronouns of Alon, so I'm going to consider them they, them, because I don't know their pronouns and I don't want to come off disrespectful. So they are considered, and I think the only sacred people left. And they are, for some reason, kind of coerced into being a tour guide to this sacred area because there are a demographic and group of individuals who don't know how to take no for a fucking answer. And they're like, I want to make this into a film. I want to solve the unsolved cases and unsolved stories. I want to share it. I want to provoke and poke around and make a film out of it, a documentary, if you will. And alone is just like, that's not a good idea. Like, this is a sacred area. And if you fuck with the sacred area, it's going to fuck with you back and you're not going to like what you find. And these people are just like, no, like, we want to tell a ghost story. Like, we need to make this into a ghost story. We need to put this out there. We need to make money. And then Alon's just like, girl, if that's what makes you feel better, I done told you. And then even the people of the island have told these people, hey, you shouldn't do this. We don't even do it. Only the sacred people are the ones that are safe enough or let alone cool enough to walk in this area. Yeah, you over here trying to poke around, messing with stuff. One thing led to another, shit starts happening. A lot of shit starts happening. And some of the things that are happening, a lot of these people that are coming here for like making movie, they're a bit more connected than they think because there happened a plane crash in a sacred area. I am also about 60% into this book. I'm 11 chapters in. Like I said, I'm not necessarily scared. I'm entertained enough that I want to continue to see what happens, but I'm not scared. I'm just like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? That is The Sacrifice. The next book I'm reading, girl, there's this phrase we say within the book community, and we call it a bad fun time, where it's like, it's not the type of book that you would like write a sophisticated essay on or put too much seriousness into. There are a couple of themes that I feel like you could, but it's not the type of book that you would take seriously, if you know what I mean. It's the type of book that's just like, girl, this is entertaining. Do I want this for my own life? Absolutely fucking not. Like, no, no, no. Do I want some of the things that are said and done in here in my life? Maybe. Maybe. I feel like I would be less bitter. And that, my friends, is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Let me tell you something. I read this book last year. Okay. I read it last year. And I read 50 pages of this book. And I was like, hell no. Hell, girl, I was like, hard no. I was like, what is happening? Why is it happening? And why am I putting energy? Girl, what are we doing? No. I was judgmental when I read it the first time. And recently, there was this TikTok that I saw. There was this beautiful black woman. Oh my God. Woo. Anyway, there was this beautiful black woman giving her thought piece on this book. And the way she was talking about it, I was like, girl, I did not get that vibe when I was reading it the first time. But let me try again because the way you coming off, I want to understand what you're saying. Okay? I want to see where you see this. Girl, I see it. I see it. I see what she's saying, and it's eating me up. But like I said, it's a bad fun time. I definitely feel like this is something a 14-year-old would write on Wattpad when Wattpad was a thing. Because, girl, I was one of those girls. The hell? I still have the app. I have a book on there that I have not touched in a very long time. I wrote this when I was 14. But, girl, I get it. Okay? I do. I was a part of that community. I was reading those books. Did I have any? But no. No. And honestly, oddly enough, this book has heightened and spiked my standards, which is why I feel like my love life is always just not working. And I'm never satisfied because y'all don't be doing shit that I want. That's a conversation for a different day. Anyway, Haunting Adeline is essentially about two characters, Adeline and her shadow, if you will, Zaid, who is basically her stalker. To sum it up, because I don't know how to talk about this without giving you details of the book, because there's so much that fucking happens in here. I mean, hello, look how thick this thing is. I don't know how to give you that, give you a synopsis without telling you the book, but it's essentially romanticizing Stockholm Syndrome. That and it's romanticizing a stalker relationship. That's all I can say. However, bad fun time. Bad fun time. But I'm here for it. I'm not gonna lie. I am almost done with this book as well. I'm 450 pages, 51 pages in. 50 pages. Girl, this is a thick ass book. I will say this. I will give the author credit as far as for it to be this thick and for me to be that deep through, like like all of that, for it to be like that and it's still entertaining and it's still making me want to read, you doing something right. Am I going to read the second book? Probably not. Maybe. Girl, I don't know. We'll see. You'll see whenever I start talking about another episode. I don't fucking know. So that's Haunting Adeline for you. Last but not least, because I also am in the mood to read something else, but we'll talk about that later, I guess. I don't know. Last but not least is Blindness by Jose Saramago. This book is absolutely beautiful. I am 4 chapters in so far. This book is so beautiful. Oh my word, I've read so many beautiful pieces of literature, but this one is just, I don't know. And I think it's even more beautiful and even more like familiar for me, I guess, is because the very thing that this author is talking about is something that I struggle with. I am not 100% blind, but I do have a relationship with blindness. My vision is not great. I've had bifocals since I was 4, and I still wear bifocals to this day. So my vision is not great at all. I made a TikTok talking about like this book because I had a morning where I was able to, it was so crisp. Like the wind was crispy air and it was a little bit misty outside and it was just beautiful. And I couldn't see it in its full beauty because for me, my low vision or the lacking of vision that I have, there's like this fog. It's very thick and I can see, like I can make out colors, I can make out shapes and I can make out direction, but that's about it. As far as anything defined and anything like in detail or up close, I can't see shit. Like it's just blurry. But when I put my glasses on, it's a totally different world and I just found myself kind of like vulnerable with that. And there are people out here that have perfect vision, and y'all be taking shit for granted, and it pisses me off. Anyway, in case you are not understanding, this book is about blindness. So far, we had followed the perspective of one individual, and yet that individual started meeting other individuals, and they started experiencing symptoms and started undergoing blindness. The way blindness is spoken about in this book comes off as if it's an epidemic of some kind because the people that have met this one character that we start off with that has been suddenly blind, mind you, they had never had any vision problems whatsoever. No one in their family had any vision problems. They just suddenly, out of nowhere, became blind, and it was weird. And whoever interacted with this man, or the man that he went to go see, the doctor of any sort, has been affected by blindness, and everyone's symptoms are the same. Let me read to you the way he has described blindness and kind of give a glimpse of what this blindness is doing to his other senses. It reads, he recognized the smell, the atmosphere, the silence. He can make out the items of furniture and objects simply by touching them. lightly running his fingers over them. But at the same time, it was as if all of this were already dissolving into a kind of strange dimension, without direction or reference points, with neither north nor south, below nor above. Further on, he says, conclusion that blindness, undoubtedly a terrible affliction, might still be relatively bearable if the unfortunate victim had retained sufficient memory, not just of the colors, but also of forms and planes, surfaces and shapes, assuming, of course, that this one was not born blind. Blind live was nothing other than the simple absence of light, that what we call blindness was something that simply covered the appearance of beings and things, leaving them intact behind their black veil. Now, on the contrary, here he was, plunged into a whiteness so luminous, so total, that it swallowed up rather than absorbed, not just the colors, but the very things and beings, thus making them twice as invisible. First of all, absolutely gorgeous. Second, the blindness is weakening their senses. My fascination and the journey that I'm going on reading this book, I want to identify what the blindness symbolizes. I want to identify, one, is there a cure? And if there is it all psychological? Or is this something that's physically happening, physically tangible that can be removed or manipulated in some kind? Or is this some sort of like blockage, but a blockage that's happening because they need to recognize something within themselves? I don't know, like if this is like reflection or if this is like actual. And I think it's very interesting that this author chose blindness because blindness can be both psychological and tangible. That's genius. Like, what? Girl, this is very long now, 42 minutes. I hope you guys stick around this long. If not, that's cool. I'm still gonna do it anyway. You can watch bits and pieces, I guess. But that is all I have to say for this episode. Apologies that it's coming up so late. I'm putting this out later than I had intended and later than I said. But again, the posting schedule is still every Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to get a hold of this posting schedule and these technology issues as much as I can so that I'm not having further issues like this in the future. But with all of that being said, I hope you guys have a lovely day, evening, or night, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye.